Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. Today is, we've been on a run of these lately here, but we've got another special edition, another friend of the program. Today we're going to be joined by Sean Kelley, world-renowned coach, as I see it. Sean's a really good guy, and we decided that we wanted to talk about the robot revolution because it's coming, and not in a Terminator type way, but to the auto industry. It's a hot topic. It's everywhere. And so Sean is a passionate car guy, and he's got opinions. And as always, we like to try and showcase those opinions here. So Sean, first of all, man, thanks a lot for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sean.
You've got two Seans here, which is always fun. Sean squared. We are in a background noises come up. They might. We are in Sean's hotel room here outside of Chicago doing these. We like to do these on site. For those of you who have ever wondered why there aren't more interviews on my show, one, I'm creative enough to have my own topics. I don't need guests. Haha, joke. Secondarily, and more importantly, I like to be in the same room with my guests. I like to experience their energy. I like us to feed off one another. I think it gives us not only the best quality, but also the best opportunity to convey great opportunities for other dealers, right? So with that being said, Sean, how is it that you see, I just asked this to some other guys we were doing podcasts with, how do you see the robot revolution affecting what you pay attention to? What's important to you in dealerships?
Well, Sean, thanks again for having me. Well, first off, I'm a big showroom floor advocate, and I believe that salespeople have an amazing opportunity, and at the end of the day, that opportunity is in jeopardy right now. Because, I don't think you can stop the upcoming changes. And by upcoming changes, I'm referring to, as you know, Sean, it's all the technology that could essentially replace a car salesperson.
You're referring to what, right? Well, let's not beat around the bush. What exactly is it? Is it a Fair.com? Is it a Carvana? Is it all of it? What is it to you that's got you feeling that way?
Yeah, it's those. I dare I say the names. The Fastlane.com, the Roadster, and all the other two you mentioned. These things can replace salespeople and the way people buy cars and the way dealerships sell cars as we know them. And actually, I don't think that these things can be stopped. I mean, at the end of the day, if there's a market for them, if there's a need for it, it's going to happen. So I think these changes are inevitable.
But do you think we're a little bit ahead of the customer? I think as this technology gets into our industry, don't you think it was more created by what we think the need will be as opposed to what the need is today? And I only say that based on data that I've seen with regards to a Roadster or a Carvana, these sort of things. Like, does that make sense to you when I say that?
Yeah, it does. Essentially, you're saying are these products being created assuming and hoping that people are willing to use them? Here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, every time someone buys a car through a technology software program or automotive delivery service without a car salesman, that takes a deal away from a car salesman, and that's the bottom line.
And what's the biggest reason you hear when you hear these technology companies talk? What's the biggest reason you hear why the customer doesn't want to go to the dealership anymore, Sean?
Yeah, they say, and I've heard all sorts of different metrics, but 80% of people would rather get a root canal than go buy a car from a dealership. So I think the experience at the dealership is bad enough for some people where they would, and also people, look at the millennials and all that. I'm not hating on any of our millennial friends, but people want instant gratification. They don't want to go spend 3 or 4 hours at a dealership anymore. They want to be convenience. They want to click something from their phone from home and get the car delivered. They don't want to be upside down or stuck with a long-term loan. So a lot of people are going to opt into these options. And is it the Armageddon for the showroom floor? No, it's not. But it's definitely going to impact the people that I care about most, which are the frontline car guys.
Because that's who we are, right? That's what we've done our whole lives. That's how we went about, building our careers, is from that side forward.
Yep.
Sean, what do you think dealers? What's the number one thing dealers can do to slow the trend? Or not slow the trend, but to embrace it and make their people better so that there is not a need or a feeling of a need for a kiosk or a delivery system for those clients?
Well, it's interesting you said it. I think dealers, I don't think dealers are going to worry too much about this at the end of the day. I think there are a lot of dealers that really value their frontline people. But at the end of the day, it's really the dealers. This benefits the dealers. If customers, if they can capture a bigger market share because people are willing to buy their car from an app or a website or a kiosk, then at the end of the day, it benefits the dealers. But it's and also it benefits the customers because they're getting what they want technically. But who it doesn't benefit, again, it's the frontline salespeople. So what can they do? They need a good offense, they need a good defense, and they need a playbook. And it's just like a sports team, right? If a sports team's going to win, and you got those three things, you can win the game, right? So I think it's branding and self-promotion. I think it's the customer experience and relationship, and then finally it's the day-to-day routine that makes brings the modern day sales process to where we're using social media, we're asking for referrals, we're doing the things, leveraging the technology to create the relationships.
Yeah, man, I like when you say that like that because salesmen being responsible for their own branding is something that I've had instilled in me since the beginning. You know, whether it was leaving business cards at the local tavern or, you know, when you, whatever it was, wherever you were, I used to have referral cards were $100 bills with my face on them. And after a delivery of a car, as I walked away, I said, oh, don't forget, I left $500 in your glove box. You wouldn't make it 2 steps the other direction for a customer to go, you did what? And they'd open it up, and they'd see it, and they'd go, what do you mean? I said, give it to your friends. They bring those in. I'm just going to turn around and write you a check for the $100. Within 6 months, you had Salesforce working for you on Saturdays as a salesman, man. Half deal Sean. Everywhere I went, I got a half deal because people came in asking for me with this car. With social media, God, I wonder where. I really do. I wonder how much further along I'd be with social media, BDCs, and CRMs.
Right.
Things I just didn't grow up with as a part of this business.
You know, Sean, it's unbelievable how you just mentioned that, right? How there's all this technology and tools. I coach a lot of managers across the country, and a lot of them are like, well, why won't I've got all these millennial salespeople? Why won't they use social media? So I start coaching the salespeople, and I'm like, hey, why the heck won't you guys use social media? You know it'll help you. And they say, well, they're not proud of what they do, Sean. They're not proud to say, hey, I'm a car salesman. And when I ask these same people, I say, why do you sell cars? And they say, I do it for the money. Okay, well, put that on a billboard on the side of the highway and see how many customers want to come buy a car from you. We as automotive leaders, if we really want our people to reach their full potential and have a brand, we need to help them build that brand, and then we need to help them market it and share strategies with them and show them how to use the tech and make them proud of what they do for a living. Help them realize the impact they can have on their customers' lives.
There is still, it's amazing, right? And it's not that amazing, but that there's still this stigma associated with the position of selling cars. I dealt with it my whole life. I mean, I had family that you'd walk in a room and they'd walk the other direction because it was like, oh, you know, there's the salesman. You know, there's the car salesman. It was like this layer of different person. It was, and when I was younger, my response was terrible. You know, like, how do you sleep at night on a pool of money? F you. You know, that would be my answer. And that's never a good answer. But as I've gotten older, I wear it as a badge of honor. I really do. I think it's something that I didn't sell cars for a summer in college. I've been in commission 100%. This is my 20th year. I take it extremely seriously. I didn't realize that younger generation of people were ashamed, like outwardly ashamed. I would just stick up for myself in knowing the stigma existed, but they're kind of living it. And you hear this all the time then from your position where you go.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, at the end of the day, these salespeople, they need to own it, what they do. They need to be proud of it. I mean, here, man, I'm a member of a Catholic church. My kids go to parochial school. I'm so proud to tell people I'm in the car business. And you know, as you know, I just left the showroom floor to coach dealers across the country about a year and a half ago. And here's the thing, even a year and a half ago, I was going to my school picnic, you know, the parish picnic, and I'm throwing business cards up in the air and making it rain on people because I'm like, come buy your cars for me. And I can't tell you how many people are so grateful to the fact that they have a connection in the car business. People, you know, if I said, hey, you're going to buy an engagement ring for your fiance, I have a connection. They'll save you 50% on jewelry. You'd be all about it, right? Yeah. If you're a car salesman out there, be the hookup for your friends and family and their friends and family on the car. And if you're a manager, by the way, I think this really goes out to the managers out there, Sean. That's really the target audience of this. Because at the end of the managers are the ones that have to get the salespeople. They have to sit down with them and help them build the brand and help them realize that they should be proud of what they do and who they are and market that.
I've said it before on this podcast, Sean. The managers are the difference. Screw the ad dollar. I don't mean screw the salespeople, but you're skipping over the biggest issue, and it's the desk. Period. even when it comes to getting on board with ideas like digital retailing with a Roadster, you got a new car manager that buys in, but a used car manager that doesn't. He's not going to let these cars get appraised online. He's not going to let those bids go out there. He's going to be an obstructionist. And then when someone comes to the desk and they don't do it exactly his way, he has to flex his muscles, sit there and let people know you're going to do it like this, you're going to do it like that. And I think that if the managers could just remember being salespeople for 5 seconds, remember you live there, and what did you hate about the desk? But when they get on the desk, they just do it. That's what happens. Sean, how do you go about working with managers to avoid that?
Well, it's a complicated answer to that question, but just to sum it up, it's not their fault, really. I mean, think about this. How do we make a manager in the car business? Hey, you're the top salesperson. The manager got fired or quit. You're the new manager, top salesman. They're opposing skill sets. To be a leader in the car business and be a top sales producer, they are opposing skill sets. A top salesperson succeeds because they're a lone wolf. They survive, they thrive on their own. A manager only succeeds when his team excels. So in reality, these managers, if they don't get leadership development or people development from the dealer, they need to be proactive and they need to go out and find it themselves. They need to hire a coach. I've got managers, Sean, no joke, I was telling about this earlier. I've got managers that hire me to coach them and then literally have to hide from the other managers at their store.
All right, and you told me that, and I gotta tell you, any dealer who's listening right now, if you don't want to spend money, you want to be cheap, whatever, call me. I'll figure out the way to find it in your budget, I promise. But even if you don't, if your salesmen want to pay to better themselves, you better be accepting of that. That's crazy to me that you got a salesman that feels like he can't even go and have a phone call with you around whatever show floor he's on. I think that's terrible, and that is why salespeople are probably ashamed to say what they do for a living. Would be my guess. You know what I mean? I think we're really connecting the big circle of just distrust and nonsense that goes on in our business. Do you think that there is a way to embrace and make the robot revolution work for us?
100%. I certainly do. And again, I don't think you can stop it. So how do we work with it and leverage it to our benefit, right?
Yeah.
I think that we've got to find companies and partner with companies that add value to our sales process rather than take the people out of it, right? Because there's still a large degree of customers that are going to want to buy from a person. And if you've got salespeople that really understand the technology, like how to leverage video, and think about this, instead of following up like every other salesperson with phone calls, what if you follow up with video long term, right? And then what if you hire yourself a AI agent to get back with your customers right away?
But now you can even text people, man. You can text them your videos. You can.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's unbelievable that opportunity salespeople really, really have to do their jobs. And the top ones, if they do it right, at least in my day, you could set your own hours. You could live your own life. And I just don't think enough people see it as a make your own wealth sort of business like it used to be, and do it on your terms if you do it right.
Well, and that comes from fear. I think a lot of dealers fear that if my salespeople, or even managers, if my salespeople get too good, they'll leave and take the customers with them. Or if my salespeople, get too good, they'll replace me as a manager. I've never met a manager that got replaced for making a bunch of 25 car salespeople. And bottom line, the salespeople that have their own brand and have the relationships and create the amazing customer experiences, they make so much money, they're not leaving that dealership. Would you?
Right. I'm looking at you like, could you imagine someone coming to you and being like, yeah, so look, you got all the sales guys up to 25 cars a month. I'm going to have to let you go. I appreciate it. I've had other managers be at 15 cars, but you at 25, I got to move on. That's absurd. But that's a real fear that people have. And for those of you who don't know what Sean does, Sean Kelley, Sean he's the car motivator, man. I mean, he goes into dealerships and he coaches. All right, he's not a trainer. He's a coach, and there's a distinct difference there. And I see the difference now. I do. I do truly understand the difference. But he's hearing this firsthand, man. His whole life today, the only reason we're here today is because I introduced him to a client locally here in Chicago, and I got to sit and experience his day, and the questions he asks, the people he goes through, he's hearing it. Now, to what end would you hear even more if people just were really open, which they can't be? They just met you. Yeah, they're probably willing to say more than they are normally, but imagine if they were 100% honest, not afraid to lose their jobs, what you get. But man, some of the things I got, from you today were outstanding. With the robot revolution, and kind of what you did today with your session. Do you talk about how to work these two together? Do you kind of discuss the elephant in the room with the robot revolution as a part of your process?
Absolutely. I think, number one, part of my mission is to help automotive professionals achieve great results with their people and technology. So, the dealerships are investing in these expensive tools, and the people have to, it's like having a great gym set. It's no good if no one jumps on it and starts working out, right? So that's part of it. And then the other side of it is that the employees have to, from the managers all the way down to the frontline staff, have to know how to use the software, have to measure its success, and otherwise, again, it's a waste of money for everyone.
And today, again, in your recap, I heard you kind of mention that salesmen didn't know about an app to make outgoing phone calls, or they were told it was deleted, or it doesn't connect, or it doesn't work, but no one bubbles these issues up out of fear for whatever, right? And you kind of named off a couple of the old top 3 fear factor things like you do, and so I wonder to myself, can you coach that out of them? Can you and is it coaching it out of them or coaching into their managers to be accepting and willing to listen to those sort of things? How does that work?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, buddy. Sean, it's both sides, right? So first off, the people, if you're talking about communication, opening up the channels of communication, which is, in my opinion, one of the 4 critical things that have to be working, functioning at a high level for a dealership to be extremely successful, communication. I mean, how simple is that, right? So the manager has to be open to criticism and feedback. They have to be willing and able to make a change. If one of their team says, "Hey, boss, I think if you change this, that you would do a better job for me," and the manager has to be open to that feedback, and then the employee can't be fearful of a negative result. They have to know that they can approach their manager with an open and honest advice and feedback, and the manager is going to accept it.
So in order to kind of embrace and make the robot revolution work for us, we're going to need way better communication.
Way better communication. We're also going to need clarity around expectations.
Clarity around expectations. Interesting. Something our business maybe isn't the best at, routinely.
To say the least.
Right? Yeah, but luckily, right? Because otherwise,
I wouldn't have a
what would
job.
we be doing here?
That's right.
If everyone knew how to do data and train, we would have no job.
Right.
Luckily that we do. Okay, so we're coming up on the time here. As you guys know, when we do these special editions, we definitely go over the 10-minute mark. We try not to make them too long. Sean, what is the top thing you believe dealers who are listening to our fun podcast here today need to hear and need to know about the robot revolution and how to embrace it? Not stop it, not slow it, but how to embrace it.
Okay, and that brings us to the third pillar, which would be understanding the value that each member on your team brings, right? If we act like kiosks, if we treat our employees like kiosks, then they can be replaced by kiosks. So the question to dealers is really this: what is your choice of customer? Going back to the old school verdict, do you want to sell a bunch of transactions where the customer gets the best deal and they find the lowest price and they don't have a long-term relationship with your dealership? Or do you want your salespeople to be so darn good that they create these relationships and experiences, and you've got a loyal database of customers and a loyal group of employees that will run through walls for your dealership? That's what you got to decide. And
that's kind of what jokingly, I was there this morning at a Panera Bread, right? And they have the robot revolution live and in front of you. You have kiosks next to walk-up humans, and to sit and watch as I did, how many humans still walk up to people, but on the same turn, how many people are lined up at these kiosks to put their order in without a bother, sit down with their code, and have their food come to them?
That's right.
I wondered why they did it in the first place. Like, are you trying to get rid of your people? But they were trying to give the customer the choice. And that's your point. And I think that we can walk them through the choices together. I think we can be a part of the solution. I got to tell you, in 2 weeks here, I've been talking all AI and bots and technology, and I have been very apprehensive to bring it on board with me. You know what I mean? AI, you kind of help break me open a little bit on AI with some of the drive-centric stuff, which is really cool. I get where its place is. It isn't just for people who are lazy and don't want to do their jobs as I thought it was. With salespeople, we talked about managers. For salespeople, what's the one thing you'd tell them? Because we have a lot of them who listen. What would you tell them that they could control as it relates to the robot revolution?
Yeah, it's just going to be to to win your customers over with just a really unique experience when they're on the dealership. Leverage the technology, whether it's social media, to connect with your customers. And even like you said, embrace it. If you've got Roadster, then you've got a kiosk on your showroom floor. Let your customers know that's an option. That's a way you can help them get a car easier. But again, making sure that managers and the dealer themselves sees the value in each member of the team. Again, salespeople, if you don't bring in the value, if you're not bringing in your fair share of the customer base, then again, you can be replaced by that kiosk. So.
Okay. Well, you guys heard it here. The robot revolution cannot be stopped. It can only be embraced. Sean Kelley, thank you so much for being on, man. We really appreciate it. Sean, I know we can find you on LinkedIn. Where else can we find you? And you have a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, I got a Facebook group. Right now there's over 700 members. We post videos and articles. I've got a blog on LinkedIn. My website, carmotivators.com. You can also Google hashtag #TheCarBizCoach, hashtag #TheCarBizCoach, all one word.
Okay, that's how they can find you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, guys, as always, the phone number for me, text and call 262-278-0157. You can always email me, Sean, at carbizdonebetter.com. Anytime you see me on LinkedIn, that really is me. Anytime you see CarBiz somewhere else on Twitter or Facebook, that's my marketing company. So bring all your questions to the aforementioned spots, and we'll be sure to get them answered. Sean, thanks to them for being on, and everyone, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Sean.